The Eagles have had a lot of conversations swirling around them, specifically about their offense and their passing game. And it went from A.J. Brown with not so cryptic comments about his lack of pleasure in terms of the way in which the offense is run, to now maybe the blame game of reporting around, well, Jalen Hurts has been somewhat of an issue in terms of how the offense operates. Nick Sirianni, head coach of the Eagles, was asked about the negative reporting surrounding Jalen Hurts.
When there's not a name on it, I don't put a lot of credence into that. And, obviously it's not good for me to read anything. I got to prepare to do my job, right? And if I'm thinking about other things, and so now when Bob preps me for it, I don't necessarily believe everything that's been being written. I just don't. I've been around long enough to know that, so I don't give it a lot of credence when there's not a name. And again, just don't fall into the trap of believing everything you see or read.
Smalls, you're laughing. Before we play the Jalen Hurts part of it, what's the humor in that?
Well, there wasn't a very pointed no. Jalen Hurts is not an issue with the offense. Our quarterback is not taking matters into his own hands and not doing what the coaching staff wants him to do. That was more about reporting and more about not believing everything that you read. It wasn't a firm denial that the report was wrong and that he was backing his quarterback.
I'm trying not to be super critical of Nick Sirianni. I feel like I've turned over a new leaf in that regard. But how could you not put credence into the report where you have A.J. Brown at every turn criticizing what the passing game has been and his involvement or lack thereof? How could you not put any credence into this narrative or the sentiment that there's frustration building in your locker room about what the passing game has been, and of course, the quarterback Jalen Hurts being the central figure in all of that? That doesn't make any sense to me, Evan.
Let's hear what Hurts had to say, and then we'll respond to all of this here. He was obviously asked about the reports of frustration in the locker room, specifically around the passing game.
Just go to work every day. Go to work every day. Continue to go out there and try and do my best.
Being in the position you are as a starting quarterback in this league, does that kind of come with the territory? And how do you learn to deal with it? I
think it definitely does. And, I take a lot of the responsibility when things are going. I guess I get a lot of attention when things are going well and when things are not going so well. And so I never run away from holding myself accountable. And I think that's exactly what I've taken the approach of doing. When I look at this last game, I take great pride in what we do on offense. I take great pride in how we go out there and play as a team and what our flow is. And so we obviously got work to do, and I think that obviously starts with me. That's always my approach. That's always me looking internally first in everything that we do, and then in due time rising above.
Yeah, he's pretty unbreakable in terms of this stuff. You're not going to get him to take the bait on any of this, whether true or false. But I think it actually comes down to one thing.
What's that?
Ball security is job security. That's what he believes, and that's how he approaches everything.
Risk-averse, cautious.
He's just risk-averse. And so if you're a receiver, in A.J. Brown in this case, a risk-averse quarterback is not the most thrilling quarterback, I'm sure, for you to have, because when you think, I don't need to be open, I'll still catch it, which, by the way, to A.J. Brown's credit, he's right about that, right? Throw it up, he got it, right? He's that damn good. But if you're Jalen Hurts, they lead the league in lack of turnovers, 4 for the entire season. Mm-hmm. They're 8-2, right? They're number 1 in the NFC, and they won the Super Bowl last year. And oh, by the way, he played for Nick Saban. And I don't think that that's a non-factor in this in terms of probably the way in which his football schooling took place while in school. And I think he's just a risk-averse quarterback who believes ball security is job security. And I get why a wide receiver could be frustrated with that. There's no risk-taking. And they want him to take risks, and he won't do it.
I think there's a lot of merit to what you're saying, because the Eagles' formula on offense and why they've been able to stack wins even though it's been inconsistent with productivity is because they don't turn the ball over, and they're number 1 in red zone efficiency. So when they get inside the 20, they score touchdowns, not settling for field goals. So I do think there is something to be said for that approach. The problem that I have with what you're saying is that when you watch the film, and as I know both of you do.
No, not like you.
But here's the thing. There are open receivers in the passing game, and Jalen Hurts is missing them.
Okay,
and
that's interesting.
That's the part that's frustrating for a receiver. That's what makes it dicey for a play caller. That's what makes it complicated for a head coach that's slanted toward the offensive side of the ball. When you have open receivers, when A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert, these guys are schemed open and they don't get the ball for whatever reason, that becomes problematic. It becomes hard to justify the quarterback not being able to make those plays in the passing game. Risk averse is one thing, missing receivers is another.
So you just brought up a whole different can of worms that I think is amazing for the audience to hear here and see. So all things can be true is what I'm realizing in talking this out with the Eagles.
Yeah.
You can have the risk-averse quarterback that believes ball security is job security equaling wins. And also, within that, here's what I do. Here's who I am as a person. I am going to just do these things. I'm allergic to this, so I won't eat that. Well, cool. This doesn't have that ingredient. You're not allergic to this. And if he's missing the open receivers, which would be risk averse to not hit those receivers, then it obviously makes sense. Then it's not what I said about A.J. Brown saying, just chuck it up, I got it. It's A.J. Brown saying, wait a minute, I have 3 yards of separation against the DB. Give me the ball because you're not allergic to this. I get you're allergic to that, right? It doesn't have this ingredient in it. I think that's a really interesting way, CeCe, that you're bringing this up because he factually is risk averse. Do we agree with that?
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
That's who he is, he being Jalen Hurts, and that's how he believes they can win, and that's how they've won. What you're saying is, cool, continue to be that way. But did you see this guy in this spot?
But the issue with that is is that sustainable if you want to go back to back and win another Super Bowl?
Which part? The way he is or isn't?
Either side.
Okay.
And B, other people are catching the heat for it. A.J. Brown is vocalizing this problem because maybe he's spoken to Jalen Hurts about it and it's not changing, and or we're having conversations about Kevin Patullo, the offensive coordinator, and how the offense is running. And if they're calling the plays a certain way and A.J. Brown is getting open and Jalen Hurts is taking it upon himself to maybe not execute the play as it was called or not hit a certain target because he's risk averse, I can understand why frustrations would boil up.
So can they continue to do it this way and win it all? Can they continue to do it the way that they're doing it right now? You know what? Let's answer that question coming up. If we could. Let's answer that question. I don't mean to cut you off, but let's answer that question coming up because I would love to know whether or not they can do what they've done and win it all again this year. We will do that after CC has this from ESPN Bet. By the way, if you listened to him yesterday, he said Raptors over the Sixers. You got that win on ESPN.